if I don't know the text well, that's going to take a long time, 2-3 hours, just to try to get what's going on in these 5 or 6 verses. So that if I know the text well, it's mainly homiletical. And all the while, this just seems to be a magical piece of paper. As you write down a thought that comes to your mind or text, the very writing makes other thoughts come to my mind. And I write those down, and then I draw connections. So that, I don't know, that's just a magical piece of paper for me. There may be 4 or 5 of those. And once that I've done that in getting ready for this, it took a day and a half basically for each of these messages. So it took all day and half a day. And I didn't start typing until well into the afternoon of the first day. So all of it's just doodling, thinking, listing, and wondering what I'm going to do. Then I compose on the screen like this. And I'm actually writing what I'm going to say. And I say it out loud. And now we get these dictation things. I push a button and I say it and it writes it. It writes some really funny things sometimes. You have to go back and correct it. But I'm preaching it as I say it. So I don't. Some people, when they write a manuscript, it sounds literary. Mm-hmm. I don't think I sound literary when I write. I'm writing what I'm going to say, and that becomes. I know how long it can be, and so I shoot for those 12,000 bytes, and that becomes a 35 or 40 minute message. So that's roughly. And then once it's up there, and that has now taken 10, 12 hours, day and a half. This morning or last night, I need another hour on it. I need another hour just to get it in here, walking it through, thinking of you and that text and praying over it and saying it out loud to myself to get it inside. That's the process here.
That's great. Some similarities. I'll try to be brief. I also like to start with a pad of paper. I like to write. And if it's New Testament, I'll usually start by translating the Greek. When I'm going through the Old Testament, honestly, my Hebrew is not as good as my Greek, and often the Old Testament, you're taking a whole chapter. I'm just not as good at Hebrew as I'd like to be. I can't translate a whole chapter of it. But I'm checking. Is that word? Am I anything I'm missing here? And I try to just write like that. Try to see what am I seeing here? What are the interesting things? What are the questions at that point? Just whatever comes. I'm trying not to filter too much. And again, that's a couple of hours. As much as I can go with that before I go to the commentaries, if something starts happening and I start seeing something, if I'm a little stumped or I'm not quite sure what that means, I'll go to the commentaries. I know there's different theories. I have some friends who do 15, 17, 20 commentaries. I don't do that. I start with about 5 in a series, and then I find there's probably just 3 of them that I need. The commentaries check if I've missed something. How do I get this particularly difficult exegetical point? So I get the commentaries. All of that is the easy stuff for me. I got a lot of ideas. I got a lot of stuff. I could stand up now and probably extemporaneously say, here's 6 cool things I learned from this passage. The hard part, as I said, is, okay, now what? What is this text about? And sometimes it's pacing around. It's mowing the lawn. It feels like wasted time. It's going on a walk. What do I do with all of this, lest I just get up and do, here's a bunch of interesting stuff. And then once something clicks, it's amazing how I'll spend time and nothing's happening, and then, there it is. And now I'll get to my computer and I'll start writing. And you saw I don't do a full manuscript, do notes. I usually try to start on a Wednesday or Thursday afternoon, just get it in me a little bit, and then all day Friday, no meetings, that's all day sermon prep, and then Saturday, it bleeds over into Saturday. So it's about 10 hours. It can be less if it's all familiar exegetical terrain, or it can be more. The easiest thing for me, I find teaching a lot easier than preaching. I see things and explain things and can understand things. I think the preaching process is creation ex nihilo. It's every week. It's that blank page what do I do? And it's satisfying, but I find it much more challenging than even just, okay, I'm going to give a lecture on something to explain it. The sermon has this moral force and this spiritual, emotional arc to it, and that takes time that even if I could short-circuit the process, I don't feel like I could preach with authenticity and power if I didn't spend those hours.